those of us who lived through the Great Depression, the memory of the suffering it caused is deep and searing. And today, many economic analysts and historians argue that high tariff legislation passed back in that period, called the Smoot-Hawley Tariff, greatly deepened the Depression and prevented economic recovery. You see, at first, when someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. What eventually occurs is, first, homegrown industries start relying on government protection in the form of high tariffs. They stop competing and stop making the innovative management and technological changes they need to succeed in world markets. And then, while all this is going on, something even worse occurs. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. The memory of all this occurring back in the 30s made me determined when I came to Washington to spare the American people the protectionist legislation that destroys prosperity. Now, it hasn't always been easy. There are those in the Congress, just as there were back in the 30s, who want to go for the quick political advantage, who risk America's prosperity for the sake of a short-term appeal to some special interest group.
Yes, that's what Ronald Reagan thought of tariffs, and I think he was kind of right. The last time that we saw the amount of tariffs, the wide sweeping tariffs that we're seeing yesterday, that's now going to be imposed, was just before the Great Depression. And I think he's right, and I think that we're gonna see probably a little upburst. Yesterday the president issued wide sweeping tariffs on multiple different countries. Basically, everything that's imported in this country gets a tariff, and then a lot of countries get specific tariffs. The markets are reacting today. Everything took a nosedive this morning. But it's very likely that there will be a short-term turnaround and that things will look good, and we'll hear a lot of people talking about it. But then what's going to happen in the long term? And I know that a lot of people are saying, well, but isn't that what the Constitution said, to collect revenue for the federal government? Yes, but not with all these other taxes. So, folks, we need to get ready. We need to get ready because I think some economic troubles are coming. Hey, folks, this is Travis. Thanks for stopping by to watch. You're watching me on the Prepared Homestead channel. I'm sure most of you are aware of that by now. The wide sweeping tariffs happened yesterday. And it was interesting. There's a few places that got specific tariffs that there actually is no human beings living there. And then there's some other islands that have a very small population. It's possible, I don't know this, but it's possible that there may be someone that has some kind of shell company set up that's supposed to be on one of those countries and or those islands, and maybe that's why we saw the tariffs for that. But anyways, the point is that there's tariffs now on everything. And China's getting some big ones, around 54% on China. That's going to affect a lot of people. Tariffs in Vietnam, which is where a lot of companies switched and moved their companies to Vietnam out of China. So those are all getting tariffs. Everywhere across the board is getting tariffs. And I think the American people, it's interesting how the conservatives, for the most part, are now embracing things that were once not really conservative. And higher taxes is one of them. And I know the argument is well, we'll just only buy American. I don't think people quite understand this. This is taxes on everything coming into the country, and it would be very, very difficult to find products that are American made that are not made with any components or materials that are imported also. I mean, you might be able to find the little mom and pop type businesses that sell things, but I'm talking major manufacturing. It's going to be difficult. Your clothing, your household items, a lot of stuff is going to be taxed with these tariffs. And then they're also talking about sending out bailout money to certain industries like the farming that may be really hard hit by this. So we're going to turn around and give money back out to certain industries to try to offset the cost of tariffs. I understand that this may be a solution that could work, but the problem is we're so deep into debt, we're so deep into the global markets, we're so deep into just problems that I don't know that something like this is going to work. Americans need to kind of wake up. There's wars everywhere that's going on. I mean, a lot of people were expecting a peaceful solution, peaceful outcome to all kinds of things once the President Trump took office. And now we've got potential for wars all over the place. The British media is claiming that they have insider information that it's pretty much a go that the United States and Israel are planning an attack on Iran, and that it's going to happen. That's coming from the British media. Who knows what source they have or if it's some kind of ploy, but that's going on. We've got relations between the United States and Russia that were seemingly going really good, now kind of reverse, because we want Greenland and we're throwing a bunch of new restrictions on them, and things aren't going so well. So there's tensions building in that area, especially with Ukraine, with Europe, all sorts of things going on. I think possibly one of the possible goals or outcomes that they're hoping is that Europe will go ahead and take care of Russia, and that will free up the United States to take care of Iran and then probably eventually China, because we're also building up there. The Defense Department has released videos and has made statements that we will stand by Taiwan regardless. And so the tensions there are starting to build. So we have tensions all across the planet when it comes to potential for war. We've got massive amounts of tariffs being dumped on the American people. And we've just got a lot of other stuff going on. So this is not a time to just sit back and relax. It's a time to get ready. Now, I want to shift gears just a little bit here, because I know that me saying this stuff and saying the things that I've been talking about for the last several days seems to be a lot of doom and gloom. And I don't see it that way. I see it that we have to know what's going on so that we know what to prepare for or how to prepare. But in the end, we also don't need to be down and depressed about it. I mean, that's why we're preppers. That's why we've been doing this for years. Many of you have seen the kind of the handwriting on the wall. Maybe you didn't know that it was going to work out the way it is right now, but you definitely had an idea of the direction that we're going. And so you started preparing. You became more self-reliant. You started growing your own food. You moved out in the country. You stockpiled things. You developed skills that you needed to kind of survive. And so there's no reason to be depressed, sad, scared, or anything like that. It's also, even though it sounds kind of crazy, we should find joy in the fact that we know that we are getting closer to the end, that biblical end. And we need to realize that we are living in an amazing time. God can still do miracles. People will still come to know him. Yeshua is still shining his light in the world, okay? So just because everything's getting bad and dark and bleak, it doesn't mean that good things aren't happening. In fact, right now, I think is the best time that there ever has been for amazing works to happen. We just have to have the discernment to see what's good and what's bad, and we also need to be prepared because obvious bad things are happening. the world is becoming more wicked. But in the darkest of times, in the darkest of rooms, a light can shine the brightest. And so this is really our time. This is our time to start being that beacon of hope for the people around us. As things start to get dark and get bad, and they, like I said, they may not for an immediate reaction. The immediate reaction to this may actually be positive. But eventually, especially based on the current circumstances of our economy, we could certainly see some really rough times, and that is a perfect opportunity. I'm not wishing this stuff would happen, but because it happens, it's a perfect opportunity for us as believers to be a beacon of hope and shine the light of Yeshua Jesus into this world. And so it's not all doom and gloom. Yes, bad things are happening. Bad things always happen, folks. There's always bad things happening. Right now, there may be, in fact, a lot more bad things happening, but it doesn't mean that good things still can't be done and that good works cannot still happen. So I want to encourage you that, yes, to go ahead and keep preparing and keep getting yourselves ready, get your houses in order, but also remember that great commission of shining his light into this world. And we have to continue to do that and to reach out to people, because there's people that are still going to open their eyes. They're still going to realize what's going on and wake up. And that's a perfect opportunity for us to step in and to help lead them in the right direction. So yeah, it's not all doom and gloom. It shouldn't be something that we just, cower in fear because of how bad things are. Yes, things are bad. They're very likely going to get worse. But we have to wake up and realize that we are born in this time and place for a reason, okay? For such a time as this. And I don't think that we should waste that away. We should take advantage of that moment, of the time that we live in, and to do good works for him. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.